What's up guys? So I just wanted to make a quick update video about my prediction of the market on the short term and bigger picture, and I'm also going to talk about the bullish seasonality for Bitcoin for the month of April and May. At the moment, the fear and greed is back to extreme fear. One of the very few good news that we have looking at market internals right now is looking at the smart money, dumb money flow. The blue line, that is smart money, and they are aggressively buying the dip right now of the S&P 500, and in the same time the money are basically selling. They're capitulating, especially with this last move we had last Friday. So we'll see if smart money is correct. In this video, you guys know I'm already bearish, bigger picture, and yeah, so I'm gonna show you guys other things that are not looking that good, and also finally I'm gonna give you guys my targets for the upcoming bear market. If it does happen, if I am correct, I'm gonna give you guys all those amazing levels that have been extremely accurate. If you've been following my small YouTube channels, you know that I've been pretty accurate with my levels. All right, so now before we start with that, I wanted just to look at the S&P 500 on the daily time frame. If you guys remember, I told you guys that we were gonna have a bounce on the 550 level. That was the key level I was waiting for to see a nice reversion to the means. I told you guys that from 550, I was basically expecting a 5% V-shaped recovery, which would have, brought us to the means. But instead, we went up about 4.8%. So I was off by about a percent. It happens especially during risk-off environment in which we are right now. It's very hard to time. And that's when most things that work like a charm during a bull market stop working, and that's when the market is extremely hard to predict, very hard to trade. So that's why it's very important to understand what type of environment we're in. Are we in a risk on environment or a risk off environment? At the moment, I've been telling you guys for the past weeks, I think we just entered a risk off environment, and typically when that occurs, it lasts for a couple of months. So it's not something that you will see happen just for 2 weeks to then revert back into a bull market. So short term key levels I'm looking for, obviously if we go a little bit lower, we're going to revisit that 550 key level right here, with 553 second standard deviation of the LRC smart indicator. And then if we break that level, I would not be surprised if we go to that third standard deviation. So it's going to be about 540, 539, 540. So you can see I have two models of mine that are basically giving me very accurate levels of where we should have a potential bottom. So those are the levels to watch for. So just quick recap. If we continue going lower and we break 550, we really need to see a big bounce at the 550 level. That is going to be the key level where if we do not see that bounce, it could get aggressive to the downside on the short term. But in the same time, I am not expecting us to have just a waterfall sell-off. I do not think that's going to happen. I could be wrong. That's why when we enter risk-off environment, you just want to have a lot of cash. Cash is king. And that's what I was telling you guys literally since the beginning of this year. And I told you guys when we were at these levels that it was a good time to at least minimum have 10 to 20% of your long-term portfolios in cash. So hopefully you listen. And I also warned you of this entire market correction, 5 to 10% to the downside. I even told you we were going to have a bounce. I told you guys that after that bounce also it would fade. I was very vocal about that. I told you guys we were going to have a V-shaped recovery to the means and then we would fade. So I was off by a percent, but overall the prediction did occur. So now this is going to be crucial. If we break that 550, guys, it's super simple. We're going way lower. The first target is going to be 540. All right, so bigger picture, I am expecting way lower level. The first level is going to be 512. All right, so I'm giving you guys my key levels right now before you click off the video. Afterwards, I will talk about the bullish seasonality for Bitcoin. I'm going to show you some statistics real quick, and that's pretty much it for this video. But for now, I am expecting us, if we break that 550 level and we're not able to reclaim it, short term, yes, we're going to have some short term bounce at, 540, 530 levels, but eventually I'm expecting us to flush down at one point, right? Not in a straight line, but I am expecting us to touch the 512 level for the S&P 500, so 512 key level. And then that's really when I'm expecting a really big bounce at this level. I do not think we're just going to break it to go lower. First, I think we're going to have a very big rally. All right, so at that point, I'll let you guys know. It's very hard to predict all of this. I've been pretty damn accurate at predicting all this crap, but that is a little bit too far for me in the future. But I am expecting a very big bounce at this level if we do go there. And afterwards, if we do enter a bear market, I do believe it will be faded again to then break it, and then eventually we're going to bottom at the 450 key level. So hopefully that makes sense. That's kind of what I'm seeing if we do enter a bear market. Right now we're in a correction. We're not yet in a bear market, but we are in risk off environment. And I showed you guys in my past video what I use, and it's very simple. You just look at the S&P 500 on the monthly time frame. You look at the momentum. When the momentum becomes negative on the monthly time frame for the S&P 500, that's your cue that you need to reduce your risk appetite and you need to start selling your crypto and taking profit. That's what I did. You know, you're not losing money right now not being in risk assets, and that's what's important. If you're in risk assets, I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong, and you can clown me in a couple of months from now. But based on risk reward, it is no longer worth it to be all in risk assets, which sucks because I love Bitcoin, I love risk assets, but I also know when to F off. And right now, nothing is telling me to take risk into crypto or other risk type of assets. So that's kind of my prediction, bigger picture. Obviously, it's probably not going to look like this. So hopefully that makes sense. Not financial advice. I could be completely wrong. I've been pretty damn accurate. But right now, one thing I'll say before I move on is the fact that we got rejected and we couldn't even go back to the means right here is a big sign of weakness. The fact that it was so weak as a bounce after the S&P 500 being down 10% peak to trough, and we can't even have a 50% retracement move, that's not a good sign. That's a sign of relative weakness in the broad market. Also, bearish market rotation that I kept talking about for weeks, telling you guys that is not good. We're looking like we're topping. And then obviously the momentum side of the S&P 500 that officially warned us that we were entering a risk off period. And right now we're like in this very dangerous zone where this is when you do not want to be in the market because you don't know, I don't know, right? So hopefully that makes sense and it helps you guys. But the fact that we're down so much in the S&P 500 and it is not able to really reclaim, we'll see the next coming weeks. Maybe we'll have a huge bounce, which could happen. I'll show you guys the seasonality right after. But before I enter in the seasonality subject, just want to show that we had a clear rejection right here of the 200 daily moving average. So we broke it here. That was, when was that? That was in March, the beginning of this month basically. And then we went below obviously to the key levels I mentioned, and then we had a big bounce as I mentioned. But then look how we got aggressively rejected. This is not like a weak rejection. This is very aggressive. I told you guys that most likely institutions were going to use that bounce, that V-shaped recovery as exit liquidity. I was not expecting the market to fall this fast in only 3 days. And especially right now, after the market being down so much. So we'll see if we bounce. Maybe we'll create a double bottom. And that's what I want to discuss in the next part of this video with you guys. All right, so right now, seasonality is going to be super important. It's been quite accurate, by the way, at calling this 5 to 10% correction. Right now, based on the post-election year seasonal pattern from 1949 to 2024, shout out to Almanac Trader for this amazing data. April and May should be bullish. All right, so seasonally, we should be going up. It doesn't mean that we're going to go up 10%, but we should at least see a little bit of strength in the price action. And my point is, the worst case scenario, in my humble opinion, for the next 2 months is if the S&P 500 basically goes nowhere and we just go sideways, that's not a good sign. That's most likely a sign that right after this window of strength finishes and then we enter summer and Q3, Q4, most likely we're gonna have another leg down. And so before I talk about the bullish seasonality for Bitcoin, and I show you guys very quickly the statistic. I just wanted to finish with weekly trend following for the S&P 500, which is really going to be your best friend in my humble opinion. So very simply, just use the MACD, the good old MACD indicator. And right now we're still in a negative weekly trend following. The cloud trend is also negative, very negative. But in my humble opinion, and I hope I'm wrong, I think we're like right here. All right, so we're entering this shit show that it doesn't matter if you're an amazing trader. It doesn't matter if you have 20 years of experience or you just started. Risk off environment, everyone gets wrecked. Like it doesn't matter if you're a crypto bro, a tech bro, a real estate bro, everything gets beeped. All right, so that's why cash is king during those type of environment, and I hope I'm wrong. So now the second time frame that's going to be super important is obviously going to be the monthly time frame, which I told you guys is what I like to use to just know bigger picture in what type of environment we're in. Hopefully you get some value in this. By the way, I think I forgot to mention that I give access to some of these indicators for free. Link down below in the description if you're interested. It's up to you. Right now is the time to have the best tools ever to make as much money as possible in the next coming months. In my humble opinion, it's going to be a life-changing opportunity, and I'm good at spotting those. So that's why, man, I am being relentless right now with the market. So just wanted to show you guys, this is basically when I told you guys that, I was getting stopped out of crypto right here. I just look at the monthly momentum for the S&P 500, and it basically triggered my dead cross, which basically means we're now in a risk-off environment with the cloud, the trend cloud turning blue, which basically means that the trend is neutral. And right now, this is a correction, and I just wanted to finish by telling you guys that the only thing missing now to basically have a confirmation we are in a bear market is basically the cloud turning red right here, like back in 2022. So as you guys can see right now, we're still neutral and we're basically having a correction. But if the cloud turn reds, that's going to basically mean in layman's term that this correction has now morphed into a bear market. That's it. All right, now let's talk about Bitcoin finally. Sorry for the wait. If you were waiting for the data, I'll show you guys the data right away. Give me 1 second. All right, so this is the seasonal data for Bitcoin, and you can see that the month of April is extremely bullish for Bitcoin, and the month of May as well. And then when you combine that obviously with the seasonality of the presidential cycle of the post-election year, things should be going up, and that is probably one of the reasons why smart money is accumulating. That is most likely one of the reasons why they are buying for a short to medium term bounce. Hopefully it happens. I do want it to happen because it would suck if the market just starts falling off a cliff right now, and a lot of people, in my humble opinion, are not going to be able to take advantage of it. So I hope it gets pushed for a couple of months, by the way, even though I'm bearish. I hope it just doesn't happen now, but it could. So hopefully you're well positioned. And the final point when it comes to this bullish seasonality for Bitcoin is if Bitcoin goes nowhere in the next 2 months, that is your sign that we are officially in a bear market and that the bull run is over. That's basically my opinion. I could be wrong, not financial advice. I love Bitcoin long term, but short to medium term, if the most bullish months end up being very weak, that's going to be a sign that, the bull market is over. Seasonality works like a charm during a bull market, and when it stops working, it tends to be one of the leading signals that we're entering a risk off environment and most likely a bear market throughout all risk assets. So hopefully that helps you guys and you see some value in what I just gave you in this video. Try to make it super quick. So right now, next 2 months, I'm still expecting us to go up based on seasonality, but it doesn't look really good, and it doesn't mean we need to go up. We could just go sideways and have this very wide chop sideways. If that happens, that is a sign that we are most likely after that small window of strength of the next 2 months. If we just go sideways after, that means we're gonna have another leg down across the board. In my humble opinion, I could be completely wrong, but I would just be very cautious right now. And then if I'm wrong, I'll see it with my system, guys. And as you guys can see, I mean, the cloud is blue on the monthly time frame for Bitcoin, and it's red. It turned blue on the weekly, but the MACD is still, negative. So the best setup for Bitcoin is very simple, guys. You just wait for the MACD right here to cross on the weekly time frame for weekly trend following, and then once the cloud turn green, I'll long again. I'll be back, and then that's when you can see that Bitcoin has these big moves to the upside between 20 to 40% returns, right? So you don't need to catch the bottom, and you don't need to take the risk of this being a fake out and then going lower to the lower layer level, which is about 79K, 70,000 for Bitcoin. So we could go there. That's just my observation looking at the key levels. So I was happy to see that we claimed it, but again, right, we just got rejected again. And then the S&P 500 just got rejected on the 200 daily moving average as well. It's very bearish. So if the S&P 500 is going to have a hard time, I would be cautious being all in Bitcoin. So hopefully that makes sense. And then maybe if you guys want, I can look at Solana. So yeah, Solana, again, it's just going to follow the price of Bitcoin. At one point during the bear market, the next big level is going to be $74, $80, that ballpark per coin. I can't wait to buy Solana back, by the way, when the time is right. Right now, I believe that we're in a risk-off environment, so those are going to be the worst performing assets, most likely, but also the ones that have the biggest bounces when we do enter a risk-on environment. And that's the problem when you're trading the market, is you don't know how long it's going to last, right? This risk-off environment we're in could last 2 months, could last 1 month, or it could last 4-6 months. We have no idea. I don't know, right? And I'm pretty damn accurate, but even that, I cannot answer that question. So hopefully everything makes sense, but definitely on my watch list to buy the dip once we're back in a risk-on environment for sure. Robinhood as well, right? So Robinhood is a top investment for me personally. Not yet, but man, if we go to that key level right here, 25 right here, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, right here, that key level right here at 25, obviously you can see how strong these support resistance level of the smart layer model is. It was a perfect bounce at $35 to the penny, and then the next level is going to be $25. If we go to that level, that's going to be a hell of a long-term buying opportunity. And then eventually, I wouldn't be surprised if we in the next bull market go to $80, $70, $80 per share. So it's going to be a really good long-term investment, in my humble opinion, with a lot of growth, innovation, and probably the best performing horses throughout the financial sector. And I'm bullish financials because financials, based on analytics, perform very well under Republicans and President Trump as well. His last term, financials performed very well because there's just less regulation, so they're able to make more money. So sometimes it's just that simple, and Robinhood is going to be that one that just grows like crazy. I'll make a video separately talking about Hood one day, but not the time right now. Focus on the bigger picture, macro, risk on, risk off. Bitcoin as well, important, right? It's going to be a great buying opportunity afterwards. This is going to be very tough, by the way. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very choppy. So, next week we could have a bounce. I would absolutely not be surprised in the S&P 500, which would, push risk assets higher as well. But eventually, I do think we're just going to fade. So just be careful thinking we're entering right back into a bull market. So hopefully there's value in this video for you guys. The point is, you really got to focus right now on, are we in a risk on environment or risk off? There's a reason why I keep talking about the same thing for the past weeks. It's super important, and especially for your option seller like me, you got to be careful. When you do the wheel strategy and we're in a negative momentum on the weekly trend following, it's super dangerous. because when you're selling cash secured put and you're already in a negative momentum downtrend, I mean, holy shit, you can get smoked. So this is why, everyone makes money when we're in a bull market. Everyone's a genius. But man, during a risk off environment, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, you will lose money. So just be careful, relax, chill. And, if I'm wrong, I'll see it in my system. It's going to tell me, hey, institutions are rotating back in risk assets, momentum has shifted back positive, and everything's going to look great. Right now, there's nothing good. On top of that, we just got rejected on the 200 simple moving average, the daily time frame, which everyone basically looks at to see if we're in a bull market or a bear market. So that's not good as well. So there's really nothing telling me to go all in the market right now, despite the fact that it was down 10%. So hopefully that helps. There's value for you guys, and see you in the next video. Stay safe, be careful, have a lot of cash. Been saying that since the beginning of this year. I was not expecting it to happen this quick though. That's for sure. That caught me off guard, being honest. And get those indicators as well. They're completely free. Take advantage of that. Stay blessed. God bless you, and catch you in the next video. All right. Have a great day.